FM 94, The Dark. It is that time again. It's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. Tonight, I got actually a Minnesota kid on the line. I'm excited about this because Minnesota music is on the airwaves here, obviously, tonight. We're talking with Jake from the band New Medicine, and I'll bring you in right away, Jake. And I know you've had just a whirlwind of a week here, all sorts of things going on. How you doing right now? How things going?
Things are great. Like I was just telling you earlier, we just got in from Los Angeles. We were there all weekend. We shot a music video for our new single. So just, 4 days of Hollywood, and then taking the red eye back from Los Angeles to Nashville today. So back in Nashville now. Now we're back to getting ready to go on the road. So it's been exciting. It's been fun, and I feel a little bit like a zombie, but that's okay.
Hey, maybe that'll be one of your new songs down the road, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're a Minnesota kid. Were you born and raised in Minnesota?
I lived in Minnesota my whole life. This last year and a half, I moved to Nashville, but I lived in Minnesota my whole life before that. Never left. So I'm born and raised, man.
What I was going to say there is, what's it like, Jake, to take a Minnesota kid and have him go to L.A., do a shoot, and then obviously now live in Nashville where you're trying to do some more things with your music career?
It's cool. I mean, I think there's a certain ethic that people from Minnesota have, and people appreciate our work ethic and our realness. We're just real people, you know what I mean? We're not fake in any way. We just come off as real, and I think that really shows. And so, honestly, in the business, in the music business, not necessarily maybe in the radio or whatever side, obviously, but like in some of the record labels or managers, you get some slimy people, or you just get people that maybe are dishonest or just not real and are just in it for the wrong things. But people, I think, see the genuine, we're in it because we love doing what we do, and we do it when it's an honest thing for us, and we're just real people out there doing what we love, So I think that's a good thing, I think, that we come from Minnesota.
Well, it's funny because when you and I just chatted here before we started the interview, you said, you definitely sound like you're from Minnesota. So we kind of have that connection right away, don't we?
Absolutely. It's like I kind of miss it because in L.A. or something, you have, the California, whatever that accent is. And in Nashville, you obviously have a southern accent everywhere, but you kind of miss your home accent. You're like, oh, yeah, it's not like it's that much, but it's just subtly I can hear it. I'm like, that's where I'm from, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Hey, let's talk about the band New Medicine, and obviously Minnesota born, Minnesota raised. This is where you got your roots when it comes to music. How did New Medicine all come about? Tell us about the history of it.
Basically, Dan and I, guitar player, we started playing together in high school, man, and we went to the same high school, and we decided we wanted to start a band, and we were walking with 17, and ever since then, that was about 9 years ago, I think. This fall will be 9 years. And we just started a band then, and we had a band, we had a bunch of different names went under, and then we had a band called The Verse Unsung for a while. We played with that band for a while. And then that kind of was coming to an end, and we kind of came up with this new sound, and we felt like we really had some labels interested in us, and we thought, we got this new thing. And so we kind of recruited our favorite bass player and favorite drummer from all these Minneapolis bands that we knew, and we picked our favorites and kind of tried to come up together with this group, this kind of super group of people, and which we thought we had some great songs, and it turned out, some labels thought so too, and so that's kind of where it all formed out of. And then we kind of, crazy enough, the little band that could from, the suburbs of Minneapolis got signed to a major label, so it was pretty a wild experience.
You mentioned suburbs of Minneapolis, just Minnesota in general. You don't hear a ton of bands nationally that are Minnesota known. How strong, or maybe not so strong, is the music scene here in Minnesota?
I guess I feel like there was as a rock band, I don't know that it's a huge scene for rock in Minneapolis. There's a great scene for the whole atmosphere and hip hop thing, and then the Current has got a lot of really cool stuff going on in Minneapolis. But not to say that, not anything bad about anything. Just I don't know that a rock band like us fits in there as much. But we have 93X in Minneapolis, which plays us and stuff, which is cool. But I would love to see more of a rock scene in Minneapolis. But we're happy to be representing Minneapolis in that, and we're proud of it. And people know when people introduce us, or people that bands that know us, they know us because they know us from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we're holding it down. We still got friends making music, and no, but we're proud to be from Minnesota. I wish there was a little bit more of a rock scene, like I said, but it's okay. Maybe we want to be part of starting something new. You know what I mean? We want to maybe bring it back. You know what I mean? So
I hear you. I was talking last week. I talked to Crispin from the Beer Union, and we were chatting a little bit about the rock scene in general. And it seems like, and obviously our radio station here, we set aside 6 hours a night to play active rock, but there's very few stations, it seems like, today's society that really play a lot of the rock, because unfortunately the corporate individuals have kind of said, oh, that's not going to make good radio or make good money. But in reality, it seems like people are really starting to thrive back into the rock again, like it was back maybe in the 70s and I guess the early 80s too. Would you agree with that, or where do you see rock right now?
Well, it's funny you ask. I mean, I think I totally agree with you. It seems like all of a sudden it became like, living in Nashville, seeing the country scene, and these guys are playing like massive stadiums full of people, and they got like 10 semi-trucks and tour buses and all this stuff, and it was like, that's what the rock scene used to be. You know what I mean? And now there's still, rock will always be around. It's never going to go anywhere, but it's definitely become like almost like a niche thing, and it's like, I'm hoping that bands like us, bands like Halestorm, our friends, or even like Out of His Way, or bands that are like young, that are like the next generation of rock bands, we're hoping, this record that we made, we hope, could be part of kind of bringing it back into the mainstream, you know what I mean? And trying to make playing guitar with some guys in the garage cool again, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, I'm optimistic about rock, you know what I mean? I think it will come back. And maybe this is the start of it. You have, like I said, you have people like Lizzie from Halestorm, like she's like, once in every 50 years you might see a singer like that, you know what I mean? So it's like,
right.
People like that, and we hope that, this record that we made we feel like is very different, and maybe could bring back something into rock and bring some livelihood and refreshing something into rock. But, yeah, I mean, it's too bad that people aren't listening to it more, But I think now is the time to bring it back, you know what I mean? It's like, I think people want to rock again, like you said, and so we're all about it, and we're sticking with it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. We're talking with Jake from the band New Medicine, Minnesota band, by the way. And you mentioned Halestorm too, and actually that kind of spun something off. It was funny because about a year ago or a year and a half ago, whenever Halestorm won the Grammy, I had actually a chance to talk with Joe here. We did an interview with him, and obviously the Grammys and rock really don't get along too well. I mean, they kind of get snubbed from everything. But talking with Joe, though, and realizing, hey, you just won a Grammy, he was just like, wow, that's really cool. But what I'm trying to get at is it seems like for some reason the industry of music just doesn't really want to let rock do its thing anymore. And I don't know how we're going to get over that or how we're going to break through that, but obviously guys like you are going to have to be the ones that really push through all the crap basically out there and make it happen.
Yeah, and I think part of it is, part of it is finding, it's hard too. Like, a thing for me is like, I appreciate stations like you guys who will play a new band, not like just a legacy band. Like, obviously, listen, I'm a huge Linkin Park fan, but like, no matter what they put out, it's like people are going to play them just because they've had some success in the past, or these are bands that I'm a fan of, so don't get me wrong, or Soundgarden or Alice in Chains, or bands that have been around forever, but it's like, hey, we need to come up with the new guys, but the new guys need our shot, because we feel like our music is deserving of that, and we're trying to do something a little bit different and try to be, hey, we're the new rock fans, you know what I mean? And we want to keep it, bring back that dangerousness and that young and just kind of like, hey, I've never heard anything like this before. Like, this is cool.
Right.
And so I think it also has to do something with, hey, the new band's bringing a new sound in. And like you said, though, I can't agree with you more that it seems like rock is like the redheaded, stepchild where it's like nobody wants to like let it in. It's like country or rap or pop or R&B. All this stuff is always on the Grammys, always on the TV shows, but there's no rock bands. You know what I mean? Like not anymore.
No.
Whereas there used to be. You know what I mean? You used to see even like a Puddle of Mud or something on TV, on MTV, or playing an award show, or even like Green Days and stuff like that. They seem like even them, they've been kind of like pushed to the back. You know what I mean? So it's kind of too bad, but we can't give up on it. That's for sure.
Not going to give it up on here, definitely on the dark, because this is what we exactly do. Obviously, we play the Linkin Parks, we play, the Godsmacks, we play all that, but we also play the bands like yourself, New Medicine, Letters from the Fire, the Pistol Day Parade, the Seasons After, the Silent Sea. I can go on and on with the list, the Waylands, all those guys that are really busting their tail to try to make it work. That's what we're here to do, and it'd be nice if there was more stations like us, but I know also they try to pay the bills too, right?
Right. No, listen, like I don't mean anything bad about that. I just mean that's a struggle for a band like us. But I think that, people should just, when they're playing music, I mean, if you're gonna play a song, do it because of the song, not just because somebody's, because sometimes I feel like some things get through the cracks where it's like, well, just because they're this person, they're gonna get played or something. But it's like,
right.
There's some great bands out there that are doing some really great stuff. And I think people getting like that heard and everything. But you have to say that like those big bands, I look up to and respect because they did pave the way for a band like us. So
right.
I just think in general, rock is kind of like the backseat, and we need to bring it back to the mainstream. You know what I mean?
All right, let's talk about New Medicine some more. And the name New Medicine, how did you guys come up with it?
Well, it was kind of like a thing where I always said music is medicine, right?
Okay.
So I always kind of thought it was like, hey, that's my way of kind of, if I had a crappy day or whatever it was, like, or, your girlfriend's cheating on you, whatever it is, you just go listen to music, or you're just having a great time and you're feeling good, you're listening to music, whatever it is. But it's kind of a medicine for me, so that was what it was, and it was kind of like our idea of, hey, we got this new project, everything is new about it, and bringing something new into the scene and our version of that. So that's kind of like New Medicine. That's kind of where it came from. We're
talking with Jake from the band New Medicine, Minnesota band here. Jake, how about for you? What did you listen to when you were a kid?
Man, I started on, my dad was like a big, he was a big like kind of old classic rock, Led Zeppelin and Allman Brothers, Leonard Skinner, like just Deep Purple. One of my first concerts was like Deep Purple, just like the classic. And I started on that and moved into Nirvana when I was about 12, and I was all about that, and I was all about all the 90s bands, just super into that. Rage Against the Machine, the Beastie Boys, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of was all over the place, but I've kind of gone through every version of rock or whatever like you could think of. Like I love it all. So
what's something in your music collection that might shock me?
That might shock you?
Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't shock you, but like I would listen to I would listen to a bunch of like Eminem or something. I guess a lot of guys listen to that kind of stuff. But like he's a big influence on me. I think he was when I was growing up, I thought he was so outside of the box. Nobody was doing what he did. He just kind of like came on and made his own complete wave of there's no one else like him, and so I always looked up to him for that. So that's the one I guess maybe that you might not think of. But
how about a current band in active rock right now? You're really digging right now? Obviously, there's got to be some bands out there that maybe aren't so well known that you're thinking, man, these guys they need a shot, or maybe you're starting to get a shot. What are those bands out there?
I've been really digging this band. I don't really know them personally, but there's a band called Royal Blood from the UK, man. I really like that band. I think they're really raw, and they're very. I spend a lot of time over in the UK, and I have a friend from over there who's in a band from over there. We were both on Atlantic, records. And anyways, I spent a lot of time there, and there's just this like unfiltered, like just not watered down, like just rawness to some of the music over there. And Royal Blood, I think, has got that, and I think that's, you know, super badass. And so I really like that band. I really like, you know, I'm friends with the Out of His Way guys. Rick is a good friend of mine, and he's had a lot of success and everything, but his new record, I really respect him because he made a real rock record, and I really like that record. There's a lot of great stuff out there, but like I said, that's one of the ones I've recently found that I thought, oh, wow, that's really cool.
Here's a question that might make you think a little bit, and obviously you don't have a huge library of music yet that has been out there, but what artist would you like to cover one of your songs?
Cover one of my songs. That's a good question. I don't know. I'd love to hear. That's a good question. I don't know. I'd love to hear. There's some songs on our new record that I could totally hear some people sing. I mean, like I'd love to hear Dave Grohl play one of my songs. That'd be awesome, you know, or one of my heroes or someone like that. But it's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to think of who could sing one of your songs. You know what I mean? I'd love to hear a girl sing one of my songs. You know what I mean? Just hear what that would sound like. I don't know. You know, just.
Well, last week when I was talking to Crispin last week, he said he wanted Katy Perry to do one of his songs, the Veer Union.
I was gonna say Katy Perry. Yeah, she would be great. Yeah, there you go.
Of course, I think he also was wanting to hang out with her too a little bit.
Well, if that was part of the deal, then definitely Katy Perry.
We're talking with Jake from New Medicine. And, hey, let's talk about the new album that you got coming out here. And in fact, it's coming out in stores here, I believe, in a couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Talk about the album itself. And obviously, your first album, Race You to the Bottom, I think did pretty well. I had 3 hits off there, at least 3 songs that made it into the top 40, one that made it into the top 20. So you're coming off a little success. You're coming into that sophomore album, I guess you could say. What's this album all about?
Well, yeah, the album's called Breaking the Model, and basically our whole thing was we actually got out of our major label deal, and we decided that on this record we were going to make it on our own terms. And yeah, and we signed with a new label now, Imagine Records and everything, and they were super cool about creatively, but our deal with signing that with them was that we wanted to basically be able to make the record that we wanted to make. And we didn't want to make it for anybody but ourselves and our fans. And unfortunately, I think in the business sometimes that's like the last thing that the records get made for. It's always for the label or for the, you know, people write cookie cutter songs just to try to get it played on the radio or this or that. And of course we want all that, but we don't want to compromise our music in any way for anything besides ourselves and our fans and making a great record. So that was a huge thing on this record, and honestly, it was so liberating to do it, and we literally, like, didn't play our label one thing until they heard the demos or whatever, but they never heard anything until we were done, and we had them come in the studio, and their jaws just dropped. Like, they were nervous, like, well, I hope, you know, whatever we spent on this record and whatever you guys have been doing for the last 4 months in the studio is great, but then we played them the record, and it was like their jaws were on the floor, and they were like, oh, my God, like, we got a hit record here. So we're super pumped about it, man. You know, we couldn't be happier, you know.
You know, and the thing I've heard about you too, I've never seen you guys perform yet, which I will see one time here soon. I've heard that you are like the Energizer Bunny, basically. You never stop.
Yeah. Once I get on stage, once the green light starts, it's on until they tell me to stop. You know, so especially now in this new record cycle, we've been bringing out a guitar player sometimes on some songs. I'm just going out and singing, go nuts and go run around and sing, and so that's been really fun for me as well. And yeah, this new show, we got done a handful of shows, some warm up shows, but we got a great set put together for this. We're going on the Uproar tour here in a couple of weeks,
which is cool. Which is very cool, yeah.
And so the live set's even better than it ever was. So we always try to take these opportunities when you're in between records to step everything up. This new record we think is a step up, and we think our live show is a step up too.
Obviously, you mentioned the new record. You got the tour, at least the Uproar, for a little bit. What about other future tours down the road? Have you got plans yet that you can talk about?
Well, I'll be able to call you in about a week or something like that. There's a big tour we're doing this fall, November and December, with some friends of ours.
Okay.
Maybe one of them that I've mentioned, but
I got
but
you.
anyways, we're doing a big tour this fall, and we'll be announcing that very soon. But we're going to be out all of November and December. We have a bunch of dates in October now as well that we just so a bunch of radio shows that we're going to be on in October, and then we're doing the Uproar for a few weeks. So we're doing that, and we're going to be doing some smaller market shows as well. We're going to try to squeeze in as many headline dates as we can, and but basically we have a lot of stuff to announce in the next coming weeks here as the album comes out, and we do the official press release for some of these tours.
Right, and obviously I'm hoping you'll have a Minnesota date or two on there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, people are like, "Where's the Minnesota show?" I'm like, "Oh, don't think we're going to forget about you." That's probably our favorite place to play, obviously. So, no, we're gonna. I always tell people, like, I think they said on our agent told us on our last record cycle we played 345 shows on our last album cycle, and so I just tell people, I'm like, listen, we're not stopping until we've played every last market. So don't worry, we're coming wherever it is. We're gonna come. So don't worry, we're road dogs, so we'll be out there.
You mentioned venues, Minnesota. Is there a favorite venue you like to play here in Minnesota?
Well, we love playing the Theater. It's right in Dinkytown. It's cool because it's like right on the college campus or whatever. And it's just a cool vibe. They opened it up a bunch to make it bigger, and so it's just a good amount of people, and it's just a good vibe, and it's easy for everybody to get to. But our goal is always, hey, we want to get into the First Ave main room. We've sold out the 7th Street a few times, but we're like, when we take on the main room, we want to sell it out. So we're hoping this record is the one that we'll be able to go and get in that room and sell it out. That's the one. That's the goal.
Awesome. We're talking with Jake from New Medicine. I know we got to get going here. Jake, obviously you got some big announcements coming up here in the next week or two, which you can't tell us now. So how can people find out about those big announcements? How can they learn more about New Medicine?
One of the best ways is we actually are the guys who run our Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. So Facebook is a good one. Our Facebook is just facebook.com/New Medicine. Our website, newmedicinerock.com, or you can follow us on Twitter, just @NewMedicine. And we're constantly on there replying to messages, and we're always tweeting out or updating whatever the latest is on the band.
Awesome, Jake. Guess what? We're going to play your latest song, One Too Many. Does that sound good?
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's a good one.
All righty, Jake. Once again, thanks so much for joining me. That is Jake from New Medicine, and you want to hear their latest song.